Hi, I'm Sharaad Kuttan. It is the 18th of August and welcome to BFM's Morning Headlines. Today's news is essentially the news that you heard much of last week, but with a little twist. There seems to be perhaps a conclusion to all this. There you have, past U-turn on Khalid. Now, NST and several other newspapers take a rather dim view what's happened, and their headline suggests as much. So there you have it. Past Tundo, which means past bows to. Who do they bow to? Well, they bow to PKR and DAP. And so that is the narrative that some of the newspapers are spinning on this reconciliation, a compromise finally reached in the Pakatan Rakyat coalition consisting of PKR, DAP and PAS. News Straits Times in its editorial says people deserve to know why PAS contradicted itself. So there they talk about what they call a shameful volte-face on the decision to support Khalid. Well, depends on how you look at it. PAS either was waiting for a proper process before they made a final decision. In the meantime, they supported Khalid's administration. Otherwise, it would have collapsed and forced the state to go into a snap poll. So that was probably good thinking in terms of the longer term objective of keeping Pakatan Rakyat in power. But there's some who take a dim view, and if you read the last part of this editorial, it's quite interesting. It says there, thanks to PAS unreliability, the Sultan is now put in a predicament. Politics is reputedly a dirty game made so by the lust for power. That PAS is sacrificing its credibility for Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim's lust is a tragedy of historic proportions. Lust! That must be the word of the day. So from shameful volte-face to something a little more objective, there you have the star headline. Azmin makes the call, and it's one Azizah. Azmin, of course, is the deputy president of PKR, and one Azizah, the president. Both names were put forward by PAS in their support for the bid for a new Menteri Besar, but Azmin Ali declined. So he has stayed within the party ranks, and that looks like it might be the one nominee to be presented to the Sultan when he returns from his holiday. While with Sina Harian, we have this headline, Undo secara terhormat. Undo is to back down or to resign in this case, and in a respectful manner, basically asking Khalid, the current MB of Selangor, to accept the situation as it is. Now there it is, the heads of the Pakatan Rakyat unanimous in their support for one Azizah. She now has 43 members of the State Assembly behind her, including herself. The Sun has his PAS abandons Khalid, and that was the decisive move yesterday, long anticipated. It was actually 2 postponements before they got to Sunday's meeting. What's interesting is this little bit. It says Khalid denies lying to the ruler about having a majority. Says that at that time Morib Mahlukalang reps still loyal to PAS, which supported him, which is curious because even with the full support of PAS at that point and the full support of UMNO and himself, Khalid only had 28 votes in the assembly, which means he did not have the majority. Unless he's discounting the vote of the Speaker of the House, in which case he had still just only half of the assembly, but it was 28 to 27. The Malay Mail has this, as PAS walks tightrope. It's now one Azizah versus Khalid, but is it really? It's a very curious front page story in the Malay Mail today. I think somewhat mistaken in its analysis. In fact, on page 8, they have this story. Analysts foresee Khalid's eventual downfall. I mean, this would be a headline for March sometime, not the last week, and certainly not for today. So, very curious analysis coming out of the Malay Mail. And so finally, Metro rounds up with their one Azizah. She is looking happy. She might be the new Menteri Besar of Selangor. Because there's other news apart from Selangor, there is the story of the nude games in Penang, something that the police are excited, very excited to follow up on. And all the other troubles that ail this nation and the Klang Valley in particular, the dengue, the water, that's still news, and hopefully over the next week or so we'll be returning to normality as the Selangor crisis comes to a close. That's all I have for you this morning on BFM's Morning Headlines. I'm Sharaad Kuttan, BFM 89.9.